Dory 1, this is Fire Team Delta. Dad's coming home.
Welcome to the Military Veteran Dad Podcast, where it is our mission to bring every dad home. I am your host, Ben Cloy. I'm a United States Marine veteran, husband, and a father. We will bring authentic conversations to inspire action in your life so we can close the gap between the dad you are today and the dad you want to be tomorrow. This is the Military Veteran Dad Podcast. Welcome to Fatherhood Friday. I'm your host, Ben Cloy, and as always, this is your official welcome to Friday. You made it. You've gone through the week. Now it's time to recharge your mindset, recharge your thought processes as you go into the weekend to be a better dad. Today's episode is fresh off the inspiration, and if you've been on the podcast, you know that I live in southern Wisconsin, and in southern Wisconsin, it snows. We probably have got good 25 inches of snow out there on the ground, frozen, not all at once, but over the time of winter. And as I was walking around with my daughter the other day, we were outside, we were going through a big drift, and hit me of inspiration for this week's episode. So what could happen walking through a snowdrift that could inspire this week's episode? Well, let me tell you. So I'm walking through the snowdrift, and I'm making the footsteps, and my daughter's right behind me. Don't think anything special is going to happen. This is about as ordinary of a moment as I could have imagined. Behind me, almost like a whisper of sage wisdom, my daughter was like, "Daddy, this drift is way too big. I'm going to step in the steps that you left behind." Now let that sink in for a second. The drift was so big, she immediately said that I'm going to step in the steps that you've taken to make it easier for myself. Now, this little piece of sage wisdom that came out of my 4-year-old daughter is amazing wisdom that every dad needs to hear, understand, breathe into their heart, because this little moment, this microcosm of my daughter and I walking in the snowdrift symbolizes the role of fatherhood to a T. What you don't realize as a father, that every step you take, every choice you take, every conversation you have with your wife in front of your kids, every place you go to work, the amount of time you spend at work, every time you choose to be on your phone or whether with your kids, every choice is no different than those footsteps in the snow. Let me pull that back and break it down a little bit. When we go through life as men, we are charting a path. That path leaves footsteps. To our kids, these footsteps are followed to a T. And what most men don't consciously realize is our kids are going to step in our footsteps. One, because that's what dad did. That's what they are wired naturally to do, to follow in dad's footsteps. He is their hero in life. And why not do everything that dad does? He's an amazing human being in their eyes. And every step you take is an intentional step that you have to be conscious of, that your kids are probably going to follow in that footstep behind you. Are you listening to this and you have trouble with alcohol? You are leaving footsteps that your kids are going to follow. Are you listening to this and you're struggling with pornography? Those are footsteps your kids are going to follow. If you are listening to this and you are struggling to communicate with your wife in a non-aggressive way in front of the kids, you're leaving footsteps that they're going to follow. Are you a dad listening to this who spends most of his time at work and comes home and doesn't engage with the family? Those are the footsteps they are going to follow. Are you a dad who doesn't model to his daughter what love and genuine love looks like? What is the model relationship of love and affection that she should go out into the world and find? Because she's going to model and follow the footsteps of how you lived your life. Are you the dad that doesn't connect with the son to understand how he has a burning desire inside to be led somewhere, to be on an adventure of life with his father? He's going to follow in the footsteps that you're leaving. All of these examples All of these examples symbolize that as you walk through the snowdrift of life, your kids are naturally going to take the steps that you are leaving. And if you don't consciously realize that, you're missing out on one of the biggest opportunities to leave a legacy. Whether you have 5 years left on this earth, 20, 25, or maybe you have 1, the footsteps that you have left on this earth are the blueprint that they are going to follow. And the question that you have to ask yourself if you're listening to this episode, is that a blueprint you want them to follow? The dad that sits with a shotgun at the door when his daughter brings home her first boyfriend, that is the dad that is scared of the footprints he left behind. The dad that is confident that his daughter has the right blueprint to go out into the world and find the person that's going to make her happy is the dad that knew he left great footsteps for her to follow. Every person she brings home is going to be measured against the man that her father was. Guys, this example of your kids following in the footsteps that you make applies to every area of your life. It is a blueprint to your legacy. It is a blueprint to your life. It is a blueprint of how they are going to connect to how dad thinks, how dad solves his problems. All of these are the footsteps of your life. And if you are in a snowy area, I want you to think about every time you step in snow, is that a step that I want my kids to make? Because they're maybe right behind me and looking for me to lead the way to a better way, to a better life. So with that, remember the sage wisdom of a 4-year-old. Daddy, this drift is too big. I'm going to follow in your footsteps to make it easier. Remember that advice. Breathe it into your heart. Live that advice this weekend. Intentionally decide, what footsteps am I leaving in the snow? I hope you have an amazing weekend. I will talk to you guys again on Monday.